Electronic commerce is where we've been leading up to in this conversation. Now, electronic commerce, also known as e-commerce, is the buying and selling of goods over the internet. Electronic commerce is really fastly growing and widely used in part because it provides incentives for both the sellers and, of course, us as consumers. There are advantages and disadvantages, but obviously some of the advantages would be we have instant delivery of a lot of goods, and we feel like we have security of online payments. Some people could see some of those as disadvantages too. So it's all in how you look at it in your perspective. But for most of it's about convenience. Now there are three types of electronic commerce that we'll talk about, and that's going to be business to consumer, consumer to consumer, and business to business. And typically these are going to be represented by the letters and numbers. So business to consumer is going to be known as B2C. This involves the sale of a product or a service to the general public or us as an end user. Obviously, the most common example is going to be Amazon.com. It is a very popular example, and it is used by so many people throughout the world. The three most widely used business to consumer applications are for online banking, financial tracking, and of course, or financial trading, and of course, what we all love to do, shopping. Now, consumer to consumer, or more represented as C2C, this involves individuals selling to other individuals. Consumer to consumer often takes the form of an electronic version of a classified ads or an auction like eBay. Etsy.com is yet another example I can think of as a very popular consumer to consumer e-commerce. Now, business-to-business transactions involve the buying and selling of goods from, you guessed it, one business to another business. The two greatest challenges for e-commerce is the development of fast, secure, and reliable payment methods for those purchased goods. And secondly, providing convenient ways to provide required information, such as mailing addresses and credit card information. Two basic payment options are, of course, credit card and the less used digital currency. Buyers purchase digital currency from a third party and use it to purchase goods. Sellers accept digital currency and convert to a traditional currency through a third party. Some digital currencies like Bitcoin have absolutely no traditional cash equivalent, and their transactions do not involve third-party banks. Such a currency is called a cryptocurrency. Now, cryptocurrencies use public ledgers known as blockchains to record all those transactions of the cryptocurrency. Anyone can read the blockchain, and anyone can hold a copy of the blockchain, but it is nearly impossible to be able to counterfeit that blockchain. I highly recommend you look into more information about cryptocurrencies and blockchains to better inform yourself, as we may see this eventually become more popular. It has been very slow growth, even though you will see a lot of people talk about it or reference it on movies and conversations, but you don't find too many places where you can use the cryptocurrencies just yet. Now that leads us into talking about cloud computing. Now, cloud computing frees us as users from owning or maintaining and storing various software and data. Cloud computing is going to provide access to these services from anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection. Now, the basic components of cloud computing are the clients, such as your computing devices, the network, so you have that internet connection, and the service providers that are going to provide you those various services. Corporations and end users who want access to data, programs, and storage are clients. The network, that's that connection between the client and the provider, those service providers who provide you that service, whether it be Office 365, or if you're using a cloud-based ERP system, or if you're using Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. These are all examples of services that you use through cloud computing because you don't physically have anything for them. You don't know where they're being stored. You don't know who's maintaining them. You just know it's being done, and you are just paying for the service. And in some cases, not paying for the service in traditional ways when we think about the G Suite or Google Suite for those services that you're using through Google for those free applications and cloud storage for your data storage. And lastly, those service providers, these are various organizations with computers that are connected to the internet, providing access to software, data, and storage. And there's all kinds of different cloud computing models. I recommend looking those up, such as SaaS, PaaS, just to name a couple. But I want you to want to go out and find out more about cloud computing. Lastly, we come to discuss the Internet of Things, IoT, a term that's been around for many years. Still, people do not understand IoT, but it's very basic principles. You know, as you go throughout your lives, I'm sure you're well aware that the Internet has become more and more part of our daily lives. The Internet of Things is the continuing development of the Internet that allows everyday objects embedded within our electronic devices to be able to send and receive data over the Internet. Now, these everyday objects include, our smartphones, and as another example, wearable devices, or smart cars, or just smart devices in general. As an example, Apple Health app is a Web 3.0 application. I talked about Web 3.0 in another video. But these can access your Apple Watch data that's stored and tied to your smartphone. Or you may have one that has its own cellular plan. But regardless, it's as long as there's an internet connection, that data from your watch gets shared with the app, and that information is available through the cloud. You combine it with other related health data, we analyze the data, and we report it back to you through your cell phone, or if you can go on the app and look at it from another device. Now, these reports are going to provide you information about your overall health, including your heart rate, perhaps how many steps you've taken that day, and estimate the number of calories that you've burned. The Internet of Things is going to continue to grow as more and more of our devices that we access are connected to the Internet. Whether you have a smart crock pot or a smart refrigerator, or you've got data that's being collected in manufacturing and instantly you've got it sent to the cloud. Internet of Things is a growing technology that we welcome and we're going to utilize more and more throughout the years. Now, that ends this discussion about the concepts of the internet, the web, making sure you know the difference between the two and how they both affect electronic commerce, and a little bit of information about electronic commerce, which directly led us into cloud computing and for the Internet of Things, or IoT technologies. I hope you found this information, whether it's new or it's a refresher, that you found something that maybe piqued your interest and maybe made you want to go out and look into more information and just keep learning about information technology. Thank you for joining. Hope you have a great day.